All right, to stay with this particular story, right, and look at what does it all mean, particularly when you look at the three countries, right, India, Russia and China. Let's now unpack this and we speak to international relations expert, Dr. Phiwokuhle Mnyandu. Dr. Mnyandu, good evening to you and thank you so much for your time. So Sam, are reading this as a push, for example, by the Chinese president for his vision of a new global security as well as economic order that prioritizes the global south, is it?
Good evening to you and your viewers at home. Absolutely it is. If you look at the past predecessors of Xi, the past three, Deng Xiaoping, Jiang Zemin, and Hu Jintao, they often focused on eradicating extreme poverty and economic development of the Chinese state. But Xi Jinping believes that China has earned its place in the world. He calls it China has stood up. China, in other words, then, it need not only concern itself with the economy, but it need to rise and concern itself with things that concern other preeminent or ascendant states, which is security, which is borders, and not just borders, not just issues within its own borders, but issues of international security. So we've seen a change with Xi Jinping. So this coheres with a Xi Jinping kind of efforts to see China punch well within its weight, which it feels it has earned a right to do so.
I'm looking at President Donald Trump right there, right? And one wonders how much of the volatility of the U.S. administration right now made the ground even more fertile to, for him to even realize much more of what he has been hoping for.
Yes, you are quite right. It's quite, I think the Chinese philosopher Sun Tzu would not have foreseen such a perfect storm for Chinese policy-making elites here. They do believe that in the midst of crisis and rupture, which some may say the global system is undergoing with these tariffs and so on and so forth, lie extreme opportunities for and it takes a wise country to be able to take advantage of these opportunities. And so if you look at Azerbaijan and Armenia, the leaders of Azerbaijan and Armenia were there. If you look at Cambodia, if you look at India and its current 50% tariffs, there's a sense of being besieged by the Indians here and these others, countries that have problems. And this has driven them right into the arms of a problem-solving Xi Jinping.
And pardon me, right, because you're speaking about India, I just want to borrow from what Donald Trump has actually written on Truth Social. I was checking him earlier on. He says, what few people understand is that we do very little business with India, but they do a tremendous amount of business with us. In other words, they sell us massive amounts of goods, their biggest client, but we sell them very little. Until now, a totally one-sided relationship, and it has been for many decades. The reason is that India has charged us until now such high tariffs, the most of any country that our businesses are able to sell into India. It has been a totally one-sided disaster. And also, India buys most of its oil and military products from Russia, very little from the US. They have now offered to cut their tariffs to nothing, but it's getting late. They should have done so years ago. Just some simple facts for people to ponder. That's Donald Trump about 4 hours ago.
There's a lot going on here, and we can read it in different ways. India is caught in a maelstrom of other geostrategic ructions that are going on right now. Let's look at Russia. And the accusation here that India has been, selling oil to Russia's oil or buying it and selling it further afield. That may be true, but India is caught within these negotiations that are currently taking place for Russia to kind of play ball and end the war on Ukraine. Then there are these tariffs and the trade deficit that the United States feels like India has. And so they, in a way here, we can read it as part of the negotiation tactics. And when you're negotiating, there are a lot of things that you throw in the pot, including things that sometimes are not directly linked to the country. And India is catching smoke here that for things that are kind of what some might argue are not directly linked to it. But it must take them seriously nonetheless if it takes its trade with the United States seriously. And unfortunately, personalities matter, and they must kind of deal with this personality in the White House right now.
And speaking about the personality in the White House, one wonders, right, what does this all mean then for him, given the fact that a few days ago, many were shocked when there was now seemingly a change of heart, but we don't really know what was going on there, when the U.S. was now announcing a sale, a million arms sale with the Ukraine. And then you've seen what he's been saying about Russia as well. Then at the same time, now we are here with India. Given what is happening in Shanghai, one asks, what does this all mean then for the US?
Well, countries don't have permanent, enemies and friends, if I may. They have permanent interests. And if you look at the Trump 1.0, the relations between him, President Trump in the first term with Modi, they were quite good. They had a joint rally in the United States, but then things changed with Trump 2.0. So for India here, what it means is India has had its own differences with China. And if you look, India had skirmishes in the border with China, and it had kind of, in a way, one might say, played a spoiler to the whole enterprise of BRICS and other multilateral organizations that involve China. Because remember, and the viewers at home will remember, these two nations are rivals and they've fought border wars. Well, again, no permanent friends. While feeling besieged with the strident tone of this White House, the Indians have turned towards China, and China is there waiting. So what it means is that countries are learning to find old friends and mend old fences.
So as they mend the fences, there are some who are saying that while, the U.S. president is well on his way, according to his supporters, to making America great again, others are saying that, it could be an isolationist move by him because the U.S. might find itself alone, but others are saying, no, you will never not find a U.S. without support, given what you've just said when it comes to permanent interests. Which side of the argument do you lean?
Absolutely. I lean on the latter because let's look. I mean, if you just look at a simple fact as shipbuilding, 95% of shipbuilding in the world takes place in three countries, all of them in East Asia: China, South Korea, and Japan. So one might say these countries are quite powerful. However, the United States guarantees security to South Korea. So any economic activity that takes place in South Korea is attenuated by these real world physical problems that the United States is a guarantor for its security. There are many countries that are in such a situation, which makes the United States, this is not my personal opinion here, these are just the facts, an indispensable partner to many countries. It is just that what has changed is that the tone, the mood, and maybe the modus operandi of promulgating foreign policy and trade negotiations has changed. And mature countries have actually adapted, and they are the better for it.
Dr. Mnyandu, interesting times ahead as I listen to you end off there. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. Thank you so much for taking your time to talk to us and really just putting us in the picture as to what exactly is going on here. I appreciate it as always. That was international relations expert Dr. Phiwokuhle Mnyandu.